has been attacking your family is unrelenting. Refuse to stop. He continues. He persists. He intends to continue until he has finished the last person in your family. Or what are you saying about it? That the enemy that never allowed your father or your grandfather to make it, followed up with your father, and then now you are facing the same battles. Is he an enemy that is relenting, or is an unrelenting enemy? It's not enough to know him as the unrelenting enemy, but you must discover what it takes to deal with the enemy. Now you think about it. Since you were born into this world until now, you trace your history to the far back, many generations behind. Nobody has been able to set up anything good building in your family. Your great-grandfathers and your grandfathers, and all till now you are still living a substandard life. That enemy fighting that family is an unrelenting enemy. It's what we refer to as the great enemy. And this month, we want to locate that enemy and bring it to an end. Somebody say enough is enough. Somebody say enough is enough. That enemy can be stopped. It doesn't have the final say. The enemy that has resisted you, you want to enter into university, you have sat for JAMB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 times, and you have not been able to conquer. It's an unrelenting enemy. That was the kind of enemy that until the young man came to know the truth, he never ever thought that he would ever go to university, because the enemy had continued to fight him without relenting until he had been made to believe that he was not destined to go to university. That is how he has taught so many people unrelenting. That's how he has left so many people useless in life, unrelenting. That's why this enemy has made it difficult for people to actually, those who are supposed to be celebrated, fail to be celebrated in life. He is an unrelenting enemy. Now, but one thing that we discover is that when some people face this strange enemy, great enemy, dangerous enemy, what they do is they're taking the wrong step. So many people, some of them will want to run away from the enemy. You can't run away. You have to kill that enemy or defeat him for you to reign. If you are running away, you're only postponing your defeat or disaster. That was what that young man, I told you before, a man of God, who was the preacher of the gospel, who was a minister of the gospel, a pastor. The enemy so frustrated his family until he became born again. And until he became a pastor, there was none to show for it. He was so tired, and eventually he said, the way to overcome, the way to be free from this enemy is to run away. Tell somebody, don't run away, face your enemy. He started meeting his friends and his colleagues and told them, he said, please raise funds for me. Let me go out of the country, out of Nigeria. I've been told that when you run to America, there is security, there is safety there, there is breakthrough there. And so his friends agreed with him to raise funds for him, and then made a send-off for him, and then escorted him to the airport. When he was boarding the flight, he looked back at Nigeria and he said, Nigeria, if you see my feet again, cut them off. He didn't know that it's not enough to run away from the enemy. Look at someone and tell him, don't run away from your enemy. This guy, the plane zoomed off, took off. He landed in the US, and he stayed for 1 month. At the end of 1 month, things that he was experiencing in Nigeria started again in the US. In fact, one of them that was so serious was the one he had not even encountered. That because the enemy thought that, the enemy felt that since you want to run, we will take extra steps to deal with you. One day he was coming from outside, entering into his room, only to discover 3 elderly, very rugged old men. Your enemy is an old enemy. He must be handled, otherwise he has dealt with your ancestors before. And if he's not properly handled, if you're running, you're only shooting to your children, because your children will come and face it, but your children will not face that enemy. He came out only to meet with 3 elderly persons also coming out like this, gray hair, couldn't even stand up again. I said, hey, who are you and where are you coming from? He said, from Okwe. Okwe is a village in Delta State. So from Okwe. Then the spokesman with gray hair, the doors have gone inside, looked at him and said, how many people in your family has made it that you run to Obodo Yibo to make it? Go back and suffer with your ancestors.